I think we decided to land on trendy diets.
Trendy diets.
Or what else could we call it? Trendy diets, gimmicky stuff. Like, just, gosh, I'm 40 years old, and I know that over the past 40 years, gosh, what was my first one? I mean, the Slim Fast era was when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Slim Fast, and then you had like, gosh, I don't know, Weight Watchers.
Slim Fast and overplucked eyebrows. That was what was popular back then, right?
Yeah.
Weight Watchers, yes, I remember those.
Still pretty popular.
Yeah, Weight Watchers. I think out of all of the fad diets, Weight Watchers would probably be the closest to what you really need to do, like tracking your calories and stuff.
I agree.
As far as tracking goes. But there are a lot of trendy diets out there that, any diet with a name, be wary. I think there are a lot of success stories, and I think that's what gets talked about, and that's what attracts attention. But we kind of just want to give the facts around all of the things with trendy diets.
And I think I finally figured out why it's easier, or people are more prone to just going to doing a certain trendy diet, because in their mind, I get it. They think it takes the guesswork out. Like, if you don't have any structure at all to your life with your nutrition, and then you're told about this carnivore diet or keto, and all you got to do is just not eat carbs, or just eat all the meat you want. That sounds pretty easy. Like, you're like, I can do that. I can just go from like no structure at all to only eating meat.
Yeah, it just gives you something to adhere to. If you've never done it before, if you've never worked on your nutrition before, it would be easy to fall into that. I've done, when I first got into it was 1,200 calories a day.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
So like that's, people fall into it easily because it's attractive, because it seems easy.
Yeah. I'm trying to, I should have thought of an analogy to use for that same concept. Like, I don't know. But the reason, but we can both agree that most of the time, for 90% of the population, now there's like some hardcore people out there that's like, and a lot of it's the social media people that do carnivore every day for the rest of their life. Like, but a lot of that's because they have the pressure to keep doing that, because they've built up a social media following.
Oh yeah, that would.
But
I haven't thought about it like that.
Yeah.
But I think that's, they are success stories. I would not base what I'm going to do with my nutrition on social media entirely. Just make sure you're doing the research across the board. Look at reliable, credible resources. Like, most of what you see on social media is going to be, like, most of the popular stuff is going to be like the success stories. You're not going to see a lot of failures with things because it gets popular because people think it's easy. Yeah. So that's what you're going to see is the success stories. Just do your research.
Yeah. So like, some of the more, we talked about the earlier ones like Weight Watchers, and that's still a thing, but like, seems like for the past like 10 years, it's really been like keto was super, super popular, still is, I guess. Carnivores, like really, really, a lot of the males I come across are hopping on that bandwagon.
Yeah, and it's not often too, like I've noticed, like I'll hear more about women with the dieting, but with carnivore, I've heard more men doing it. Like I've heard more men speak on that, whereas typically I wouldn't hear men speak on a trend type diet, like maybe intermittent fasting, but carnivore seems to be pretty attractive to males.
Yeah.
I've noticed. Even like my singer who would never talk about nutrition, he has been attracted to the carnivore diet. So I mean, in general, I've noticed a lot of men are more attracted to that.
Yeah, I mean, because it kind of has the caveman image,
Neanderthal,
eating just meat, and ripping it off the ribs, and
yes.
I'm a man. That's the manly man's diet. You can just eat all the meat you want.
And, seems masculine.
Masculine and like
primitive. It just strikes us. It's attractive to the men. Yeah,
I know people that I see people coming in and out of the shop. On a weekly basis, monthly, yearly, and a couple of guys come to mind. I'm not going to mention any names that tell me they're trying these different diets. Like one's on carnivore right now, but yet he'll tell me he'll have all these special ingredients in his smoothie, but yet he's telling me I'm doing this, but I probably really do need to slow down on the bourbon every night. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not knocking you for like cleaning up your diet, but if you're down in a fifth of scotch or bourbon every night, that's not good either. I don't think that's carnivore approved.
No. I mean, and so I haven't done a whole lot of research on the carnivore. I know they focus on like proteins, obviously, is why it's called carnivore. But what is the situation with the carb? Is it low carb for a carnivore?
Yeah, I mean, it's like literally just meat, eggs. Like you can't even have like the true carnivore diet is literally just meat, eggs, and that's it. You can't have no fruit, no veggies, no honey, no berries. It's literally just steak,
alcohol. Like it is technically a carb, I guess. Like alcohol on its own is kind of like another macro. But alcohol is doing exactly to you what Oreos would do. It's just metabolizing differently, right? So
and messing up your hormones.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things alcohol is doing to you, but if you're going to eliminate the carbs and stuff, then alcohol would need to go with that.
Yeah.
Alcohol would need to go as well.
Seems like, and that's another thing too, is like everybody does the quote carnivore, but they mold it around what's best for them, but it's still not like the true blue. Like I said, they're having alcohol every day or whatever. It's like, all right.
Yeah, what kills me too with the carnivore, and like I said, I haven't researched it a lot, but I'll come across things on social media and it'll be a plate of a ribeye that looks amazing, but it's like 2 ribeyes, 16 eggs, and like a slab of butter.
Yeah.
I'm like, at what point do we draw the line between health and aesthetics? Like, yeah, we want to look a certain way, but like if it compromises your health and you're eating that much saturated fat, like that can't be good for you long term.
Or like, like I don't know the history of that person. Like, I know what you're saying. Like I'll see the same thing where you'll see a guy that's pretty ripped and he'll have a plate of steak and meat in front of him, but he'll be all about the carnivore. But like my question to him is, what would you like, 5 years ago? Are you a hard gainer? Because if you're a guy that had a hard time putting on weight, say you were a toothpick growing up and you really, really struggled to put on size, and then all of a sudden you found this carnivore diet where you could just really lean on meat and steak and eggs to get in the calories to go along with the gym. And through years you built up this nice physique and now you're just all about carnivore. That's a different story than a person that's wanting to lose weight.
It sends mixed messages to people.
Right.
I think that's the problem with it. If you're somebody who this has worked for, if carnivores work for you and you've seen a lot of success in that way, then great. I think that's awesome. But that narrative doesn't fit for everybody.
Yeah.
Not everybody's in that same position, so I think that's something to consider. If you're somebody who is overweight, obese, carnivore probably not the direction you want to go, especially with the things you see on social media, because of like it's not very healthy. Like it's not nutritious for you. Like, you're getting your protein, but at what cost? Like there's a fine line between health and aesthetics and the way we look. You got to find the line to draw. Is it bad to eat like that all the time? I think all the time, a plate full of ribeye steak like that and eggs and just all that fat like cannot be a good thing for you. Yeah.
And the reason a lot of these work, like if you really, really break it down, the reason people have some success with carnivore or keto or low carb is because they do go from eating like shit with no structure at all to doing something consistent. And whether that's keto, whether it's all different vehicles to basically kind of control calories.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, if you're losing body fat, regardless of if you're on keto, carnivore, low carb, it's because you're eating less calories.
Absolutely.
And it just so happens to be that initially in the beginning, when somebody jumps on low carb or carnivore, it's cutting out all the like the high carb stuff they were eating previously. And it's kind of forcing them to work within like a tighter box.
Yeah, so
rules.
It puts them in a deficit, and they're thinking that it's working because it's keto.
Right.
It's not working because it's keto. It's working because you're eating less calories.
Yes.
That's why any diet with a name works for anybody is because they ate in a calorie deficit for an extended amount of time. That is the only thing that's going to make you lose weight. That is the only thing that's going to make you lose body fat. Any diet that's ever worked for anybody, that's why it worked. That's what they all have in common.
So like the way that would look like realistically is like, let's just say you got a guy that before he starts carnivore or keto, prior to that, he was getting up every morning and eating like, I don't know, a regular Monster energy drink with like 60 grams of sugar, swinging through Bojangles, getting a biscuit and some Bo Rounds. All right. Since that was like a really high, like processed carb meal, he's probably going to have like a little bit of a crash. It's probably going to spark some hunger mid-morning. So let's just say mid-morning, he grabs like a honey bun out of the vending machine at work. Lunch, he's going out to eat with friends, eating like fast food, French fries.
You're already up to like 3,000
calories right there, honestly.
Yeah.
And then same thing for like dinner, more processed carbs. Like this is just roller coaster of hunger hormones all day. And it's cueing different hungers, and there's no stability.
And an overconsumption of calories.
Yeah. The average American consumes like 4,000 calories a day.
The average American
3,500 to 4,000 is the average. Yeah. Across the masses.
What in the world? I did not know that statistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
That actually shocked me a little bit. Okay, it doesn't shock me. But
Lane Norton, I don't know if he did the study, but yeah, he's quoted that a few times, that the average person is around 3,500 to 4,000 a day. And most of them are exceeding half of that by lunch. So most people are already 2,000 plus by lunch. And you see, it's easy to do.
Yeah.
You know, all these Starbucks Frappuccinos with 1,000 calories. And then, God forbid, if they throw in something else like.
Have you ever come across a Facebook page for like the Starbucks lovers?
I've seen a few.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Some of them put like so much sugar. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it adds up. It's really easy to tackle the calories, but 3,500.
Yeah. And then you take that same guy, like I said, was going through all that fast food and drinking the Monster, and all of a sudden he starts doing carnivore or keto or whatever, any of these other ones that we're going to talk about. Well, all of a sudden he's eating like, okay, let's just say if he does carnivore, I'm going to get up and eat 5 whole eggs and a piece of steak. Like, yeah, it's got a good bit of calories in it, but it's going to get him so slap full because of the protein that he's probably not going to want to grab that honey bun mid-morning, or he's not going to have that Monster energy drink. Yeah. And so, it's satiating him more, and he's going to have less calories because of the food choices he's making.
And overall, it is a better choice for him.
Right.
You know, he is doing better.
Yeah.
And that's good. But at the end of the day, like, I think too, like, carbs are very important to everything in our lives. And I think we think about like fitness, you know, so carbs are good for your workouts and stuff.
Yeah.
Carbs are good for everything in your life. It's not just the workouts that you need to consider. So like keto, carnivore, low carb, Atkins, all those things, like you're really taking out your body's primary source of energy. And it's not, we don't speak about energy in terms of just the gym. It's for everything in your life, like getting up in the morning and, you know, playing with your kids at the end of the day, you know, doing homework and stuff like that. Like carbs are what your body wants too. So
yeah, and like that carnivore diet will work for that person for like 2, 3, sometimes 4 months. But then when you get to a point as an individual that, you know what, you wake up one morning and you're like, you know what, I'm kind of getting tired of eating just eggs or steak, and I miss my carbs. Like I miss, you know, like having fruit and bread and like just living normal life.
Yes.
All right. So like that's where it usually fades out for most people, is they have enough willpower and grit to last for a couple of months on keto or carnivore. And yeah, they may have some weight loss, but what do you do when you get to that point where you're like, gosh, this is getting kind of old?
Yeah, I think people are obsessed with instant gratification too, so they're not thinking about like, how am I going to feel about this in 6 months? Like, and then guess what? You start eating carbs again. You're eating more calories. The weight comes back, and you're right back in the cycle again. So that's the issue with those, is that you cannot sustain that for a long period.
Yeah, like, that's usually what happens to 90% of the people that I see go on, you know, carnivore, keto, is they'll have some initial success and preach about it, and they'll be on their soapbox about it and like, yeah, this is the best thing ever. But then you revisit them a year or even 6 months later, and they're like, you know, back to the same weight they were.
I've seen this happen like with people. Yeah. I've seen, you know, I've known somebody, and then years goes by and I see them again, and they're completely different and not the best way, you know. And what kills me too is people saying, I'm gonna get on keto again because it's worked for me in the past. Well, I hate to break it to you. If it worked for you in the past, you wouldn't be telling me. that you're going to do it again. Because if it worked, you wouldn't need to do it again.
Yeah. So some people that I actually think should play around with like carnivore, maybe even keto some, but like if you're a person that has like a lot of like inflammation going on or food allergens, let's just say you think you might be gluten or dairy and you don't really know what to do. The good thing about doing something like carnivore or keto is it does remove all that stuff. Like give your body a break and then maybe slowly reintroduce them to see which ones you're allergic to.
Absolutely. I've dealt with that myself.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm trying to figure out what was going on, I don't know for sure that I have a wheat or gluten allergy, but I know eliminating that from my diet made me feel and look a lot better. Like,
yeah.
But I agree with that. Like that could be a good place to start.
Yeah.
To figure
there.
out, or, you know, even if you have, I've heard epilepsy or I've come across articles that I haven't read into it extensively, but epilepsy and type 1 diabetes, those people could benefit from a low carb diet. So if there's reasons to do it, if your doctor's telling you to, maybe,
right. Yeah.
You know, if you're being instructed by like a healthcare professional, it's like, this is something you probably need to do for X reason, then sure. Or if you need to start figuring out some food allergies, if you're, you know, if you're thinking that you have some sort of allergy going on, that would be a good place to start.
And I will also say that if you're going to do carnivore, I would try to like pick some cleaner sources of meat, because I know some people that will go carnivore and literally just eat trash, like trash meat sources. Like
it's funny that you're talking about this, because I thought about this on the way here, and I wanted to make sure that I talked about it. I've seen on social media where people that are doing keto will run through the drive-thru at Wendy's and just load down 4, you know, burger patties and like buns. Cheese everywhere, but bacon. Because they didn't get a bun, they think that it's keto healthy.
Right.
Keto does not equal healthy. So, I mean, like, my goodness.
Yeah, so
how can we think that that's better for us than eating a whole grain slice of bread? Like,
I know. Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, and a lot of people that end up doing keto, sometimes people gain weight because they'll, like she just said, they'll go into it and not really do keto the right way and just think that everything they can eat, as long as it's no carbs or low carb, they can just eat whatever they want. Man, you know, fats have more calories per gram than carbs.
That's something that's always, you know, perplexed me about keto. Like, fats have 9 calories per gram and carbs have 4. You can literally eat a larger quantity of food if you incorporate carbs into your diet.
Yes.
That's what I'm after all the time.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to eat more food.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to eat as much as I can.
I know.
So that's like, including carbs, I'm winning.
It goes like, use peanut butter, for example. That's like the saddest thing ever. Like, I love peanut butter, but honestly, just 2 little tablespoons is almost 400 calories. That's depressing.
I vividly remember when I started weighing and tracking my food, when I finally weighed out how much a serving size of peanut butter was, and I realized I had been consuming like a 1/4 cup of peanut butter at a time. Like, it is disappointing. But like, fats do have more calories per gram, so it is always weird to me. Keto is a little strange.
And even like, you know, if you think you have a good eyeball and you're being mindful of your quote tablespoon, honestly, like, one day just get a digital food scale and I want you to look at the back of the peanut butter, and it'll say 2 tablespoons is what, 32 grams, I think it is.
Yeah.
All right, so I want you to measure out what you think 2 tablespoons is like. And even if you had good intentions, like just test yourself. Like, get a digital food scale. Do what you normally do as your tablespoons, and I promise you, it's going to be 40 plus grams. I promise you, it's going to be probably 300 calories.
That one got me cackling. I mean, you're right though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've been that person. I've done that to myself. It was quite disappointing. You know, but that is the thing with fats and. Yeah, you know, nuts and nut butters, like, they are technically a fat. Like, yes, you get a little bit of protein, but those are technically fats. Fats have more calories per gram. That's what always blew my mind with keto. It's like, you can eat more food.
They're snacking on pork rinds. They're eating trail mix. They're eating peanut butter and cheeses on everything. And I'm like, and they're like, I don't know why. Well, they may lose some water weight, you know, initially, and think it's the best thing since sliced bread because the scale is going down rapidly, but they usually hit a plateau because. And honestly, Katie will agree, like, if people would just take the time to look at labels and build some awareness around calories and stuff like that, and learn how to like track, you'll learn that you can kind of eat whatever you want, as long as you work within a certain calorie range and hit your protein goal, and not be scared of carbs, not be scared of fats, like have a balance, like a good balanced approach.
Yes.
That's a skill that you can take with you for the rest of your life. And if you're wondering like how people like myself and Katie just are able to just stay in shape year round for so long, it's because we've learned the skill of awareness around foods and calories and macros.
Yes, it's not a diet that we're on.
No,
it's nothing like that. It's eating, with intention and making sure that we're not overeating, and we have calorie goals that we try to hit and protein goals that we try to hit, but it's not complicated.
No, like I was talking to Katie earlier how I was going to share this. Like today, for example, it's a Saturday, and I know a lot of people get off their routine on weekends, but like this morning, this is inside my Fitness Pal. I've already logged my smoothie. I had this is a pretty thick smoothie, but hey, it was post workout. It's 800 calories, but it had 94 grams of protein, 60 carbs, and 20 fats. And I got all the ingredients logged. And a lot of times I can just save this and it's plug and play for like future tracking.
Or swipe right to add it.
Yeah, add it the next day.
Yeah.
And then just modify it from there.
You can copy it onto another day. Yes.
And then like, okay, I started getting hungry for lunch. I knew I had to meet her over here for the podcast. So I was like, you know what? I don't eat at restaurants too often, but weekends I kind of do a little bit out of the norm and kind of just get some stuff that I've been craving. So I went through Chick-fil-A and got the Cool Wrap, the grilled chicken Cool Wrap with, and I brought me a bag of Quest chips and one little thing of buffalo sauce. And all that together is 515 calories, 61 grams of protein, 20 fats, and 35 carbs. I got it logged. So
I eat ice cream all the time.
Yeah, you just
like, it's really all about like being mindful of what you're doing, and tracking and learning to track and understanding your calories. I don't think people need to track forever. I still track.
Yeah. And
it's only because that's just the way I am. Do I think people need to do it forever? No, but it helps you understand the quantity of food that you're eating. Yeah. So like, just like we said, peanut butter and like you being flexible on the weekends, that's smart too, because you didn't do terrible, but you got to break in your routine. You broke the monotony up of like if you're a meal prepper or whatever. Yeah. So I think that's great. I've swung through Chick-fil-A many a times, my friend, many a times. I made this post yesterday. Actually, the caption, the hook says, I've been tracking my nutrition for 20 years, but I'm not afraid to admit ... Number one says I've tracked perfectly all day on a binge after dinner. Yep, yes. I've been there, but I didn't let it define me. I just picked back up the next day. That's exactly what you need to do. But honestly, in the very beginning when I used to do that, I used to punish myself. You know, I used to just like starve myself the next day, do like an hour extra cardio. Stairmaster, just brutal. Yeah. Number two, sometimes I nibble on food as I weigh and prepare my dinner. As you were talking about the tablespoons of peanut butter, I thought about myself. With what you said just now. The little bites don't count, right? I said, they still do in parentheses. Yeah, sometimes I'll find myself doing that. I can eyeball 200 grams of chicken with crazy good accuracy without a scale, no problem. After years of tracking and weighing my food, I know exactly what a proper portion looks like. I've justified eating 3 donuts because it fits my macros. Oh, that's another diet with a name we hadn't thought about yet. Yeah, and I just got a few more here. I've weighed out my meal perfectly, but totally ignored the mountain of sugar-free ketchup I added. Sugar-free doesn't mean 0 calorie, by the way. So that used to be a problem. I used to, feel like I was tracking, but I couldn't lose like the last 4 or 5 pounds. And then it's like, really, when you start looking at everything, it's like, oh shit! Like I put about 100 grams of ketchup on my plate, and it's like 170 something calories. Sauces will get you. Sauces will get you. And then to close it out, I've gone through phases of tracking religiously and phases where I don't bother at all. And you know what? The results didn't disappear because consistency beats perfection. I've learned that nutrition isn't about tracking perfectly all the time. It's about understanding food, making smarter choices, and knowing when to calm the F down. I still love tracking my macros. It makes me feel in control of my day. Nothing feels better than having my nutrition dialed in. Yeah. So that was just a little post I made just like 2 days ago. Yeah, about macros. I like to track my food, so like I'll make a grocery list based on what I tracked to make my plans for the week ahead. So I do think tracking your food can be helpful. I still track my food, but do I do it every day? No.
Yeah.
And you don't have to. I mean, in the beginning, if you're somebody who wants to lose weight or lose body fat, you probably need to learn.
Yeah, I don't have to track every day. Like, I just know, I know what I need to be doing and what portions and what foods I can get away with as far as food combinations to probably stay within a certain parameters.
Well, then today is kind of like a safety check too, because you're kind of off of your normal routine. So you're kind of like checking yourself, so there's times to do it, but is it something forever? No. That's what's it. You want to find something that's sustainable and you make lifestyle changes so you're able to do this forever. That's why you've been able to do it for 20 years.
Yeah. I got a buddy.
But you learned all the wrong ways too.
Yes. I got a really good buddy of mine. He's down like 15 pounds, 20 pounds, and he's hit a brick wall. Like, he can't lose any more weight. That's what he's telling me. And I just talk to him on the phone sometimes through text, and I ask him, I said, well, what are you eating? How many calories you eating? How much? He don't know. And he just starts telling me, like, or he sends me pictures like of a meal. And I'm like, well, let me know, like, send me like your food diary, like, for a couple of days, just track. But he won't do it. I don't know. He's so like intimidated to look at. I don't know what's going on, but like,
we talked about this.
Yeah.
With me and my app, them deleting or like discontinuing or whatever the technical word is for them just not doing an app anymore. That ruined my life.
Yeah.
I had invested so much time into learning that app, and I used it for so long. I got so frustrated with MyFitnessPal that I changed to Excel. I was calculating my own calories.
Yeah.
But I bit the bullet and sucked it up, and I got on MyFitnessPal and I learned it.
Yeah.
Because I'm capable of learning something like that. Yeah. And I needed to just invest time to practice it.
That's it. Like, I got several 60, 70-year-olds that has got really good at learning MyFitnessPal. And
listen, if Scarlett Gasway can learn how to track her calories as good as she can, I guarantee you got this.
That's your mom.
Yes. Shout out, Mom. You're killing it.
So, don't let that be like a factor. Like, you just are so overwhelmed at learning a new app. Like, come on, it's really, once you get in there and try it, you're gonna mess up at first, but
it's the same thing. If you're gonna be willing to commit and try something like keto or carnivore, how come you can't be willing to commit to something like tracking your calories for a little bit of time? I mean, you can invest time in that. If you're serious about your goals and you're serious about what you want with your life, then learning to track your calories is how you can do it forever. And see success long term. You don't have to go try keto again.
Right. And then next on the board is fasting. Like, that's another kind of a trendy, thing you hear about, whether it's intermittent fasting or some kind of fasting window. People preach on that.
I think there are reasons to fast. I think there are religious and spiritual and many, many reasons to fast.
Yeah.
In regards to your health and weight loss specifically, I feel like that's just a window of opportunity for you to just ruin it all. And something people don't think about is the fact that, again, it boils down to the calories you're eating. It doesn't matter if you're eating in a 4-hour window or an 8-hour window. If you're eating 4,000 calories a day, you're not going to be able to lose weight.
Right.
It's just a fact.
For me, she's right. It's the same thing we talked about earlier. Whether you're doing keto, carnivore, low carb, or even fasting, if you're seeing results because you just went from eating like crap to doing now fasting, we're talking about, it's because you're eating in a calorie deficit. You've chose a vehicle that forces you to kind of work within a tighter parameters that just so happens to create a calorie deficit for you. That's the only reason anyone sees results off any of these trendy things we're talking about.
Yeah. So I would rather do something that was, something I could stick to forever. Fasting just, that's something that it never appealed to me to fast. I really like to get up in the morning and eat my breakfast, and I really like knowing I can eat as late as I want. The reason why people say not to eat after a certain point in the evening is because of digestion. It interrupts your sleep, and the metabolic processes interrupt your sleep. But like from a calorie standpoint, there's no reason why. Yes. And it's the same from the opposite perspective. Yep. It doesn't matter that you're eating in a 4-hour window. What matters is the fact that you're not eating
Yeah.
You're not overeating calories in that window. That's why you see success with that diet.
Yeah. Now,
Same for all of them.
I have had a few situations where, and including myself, where like if you're a person that gets up like really early and you have really, really long days, like I'm talking like somebody that gets up at like 3 or 4, gets their day going and don't go to bed till like 8, 9 o'clock at night, sometimes 10. I have seen situations where some intermittent fasting helps them push out their first meal a bit later, so then they can still stay within their calorie budget. So in other words, if I know me firsthand, if I was to get up and eat like a normal 500, 600 calorie meal at like 4 a.m., I'm going to be hungry again like at 7. And then I have another 600 calories. Well, hell, by 11 a.m., I'm going to be 3/4 of the way through my daily budget.
And then you're going to be real disappointed when 5 o'clock rolls around.
I know.
You can't eat
I
your
only
dinner.
got 200 calories left. So for me, sometimes I will push it out. Sometimes I do train fasted. If I'm feeling a little hungry, I might eat like a little Rice Krispie treat or some carbs, like a Thomas English muffin, like half of one with like some honey on it, to give me some like fuel before I go weight train. But a lot of times I don't have my first solid meal until honestly, I've been up for like 3 hours at minimum, sometimes 4.
We're in the same boat with
Yeah.
that. I also do that. For some reason, I can't wrap my brain around training myself after I've worked with clients in the morning. So, like, I'll start at like 9:30 with a client. I'm working out before and eating before. But I'm with you. Like, I don't eat a full meal before I work out. I probably would see benefits from that. However, I've not seen a difference in my strength doing fasted workouts. I really enjoy my fasted workouts. But are they really fasted? Because I did eat a Rice Krispies, most likely. So, but I do have a very light little bit of carbs, but I don't have a big meal. So I guess in some ways intermittent fast, really.
Yeah. And if you talk to somebody like Lane Norton, he's like for people that don't know who he is, he's a guru off internet, YouTube, but he'll even say that if your last meal of the day has carbs, like in mine and Allie's does, we have sliced oven fries every night. We're eating that at like 6 and 7 p.m. If you talk to somebody like Lane Norton, that glycogen is still in your system at 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. Mm-hmm. You would have to totally do low carb for like a day or two, 48 hours to deplete all your glycogen stores.
Yeah.
So I know it's getting a little bit more into the nuancey science of it, but it goes back to what you were saying. You've always wondered why training fasted doesn't really affect your strength. It's probably because you still got some carbs in your system from the day before.
Yeah, because I typically do eat like
some carbs, as your last meal.
I eat carbs with every meal.
Yeah.
You're not going to catch me not eating carbs. I mean, I've seen where Allie's talked about she's not having carbs at some meals right now, right?
So
I'm just curious. She's bodybuilding, so this is entirely different.
You're right. So with a competitor like Allie, and like if you were getting ready for some CrossFit games, like you were a major, intense, extreme competitor, and you were very competitive, I do think there is some nuancy
way above my head.
Yes, where you can manipulate some carbs and do some carb cycling to trick the body, but only when you get super, super, super lean.
Yeah, I was going to agree with that, but I definitely I saw her post something earlier. I think it was today, maybe.
Yeah,
talking about how it was like a little bit of a shock to not. So, I mean, I eat carbs with every meal. If I was in a competition and Doug told me I couldn't eat carbs, then I wouldn't eat them. But I'm not doing that that level.
We're talking about just normal, everyday people. You don't have to carb cycle.
No, but I'm just making the point that if that were me and I had carbs taken away, I'd be really sad.
Yeah,
because I do eat carbs at every single meal.
Oh, trust me, she gets jealous when I'm eating.
Bless her. Oh, she's gonna do so great.
It was tough the other night. I felt so bad eating them beside her on the couch.
That triggered a little bit of.
Maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I should have did low carb today.
Oh,
or
man.
Or maybe ate them in a different room or something.
I know the feeling. I'm just real proud of her, though. She's going to do so good. It's going to all be worth it when she gets on that stage and she looks so good. She already looks so good. But yeah, I mean, I would be very upset to not have carbs with every meal. I don't see how people do the low carb. I feel like people who do keto and low carb and all those things, like they need to try to eat carbs and work out. Like if you're somebody who does the low carb thing and you work out, like try to eat some carbs and work out.
Yeah.
Let's see how you feel.
Now, if you're, even you train hard, like even if you're a CrossFit person, I wouldn't advise a CrossFitter to do keto or carnivore. You need some carbs.
Not.
You need some carbs.
No,
oh my gosh,
all of my clients are told to eat carbs.
That'd be rough.
Yeah, I gotta have the carbs. I love my carbs, and we're speaking on the glycogen. If I have a really heavy carb meal, like maybe I overate a little bit the night before a workout, like I'll make sure to go in there and do legs. The glycogen is it's still in your system, and I love a good pump. Yes. I've talked about that, but you never gonna catch me not having my carbs. Because at the end of the day, like we say, it's the calories. It's not the carbs. Right. It's not the fats. It's not. It's just the calories of all of those things adding up.
So, like, you can imagine like a bucket, and then let's just say you got a 5-gallon bucket, and then you got some smaller little buckets around that 5-gallon. Well, each bucket that's around that 5-gallon, you got your proteins, your carbs, your fats. As you eat through the day, regardless of what you're focusing on, carbs, fats, or proteins, you're pouring into that 5-gallon bucket. It don't matter where they come from. Just know that big 5-gallon bucket is your total calories for the day.
Yes.
So
that's a good reference.
Yeah. So if you overspill on any of those macros, the carbs, fats, or proteins, it don't matter where they come from. Calories are coming from all of them. You're gonna gain weight.
Yes.
Or vice versa. If you cut out carbs, if you cut out fats, and your bucket don't overfill that 5-gallon bucket, guess what? You're going to lose weight.
Yes, exactly.
It wasn't anything magical about that specific macro being cut out. It's because your 5-gallon bucket didn't get full.
Yeah, because your calories have been restricted. You have dropped below your maintenance calories. I think about things like 75 hard and diets like that. I think they can be. And referring back to Allie, who is getting on stage on like a pro level again.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good test of mental strength.
For sure.
Things like 75
I love that.
And those things. So there are pros, aside from like we talked about type 1 diabetes and those things. But like it is a test of your mental strength. So that would be a pro to it, and you do see fast results. But at the end of the day, like those fast results don't equate to sustainable results, and they don't equate to health either.
Yeah. I've never read the last chapter of 75 Hard book, but I would hope, knowing Andy Frisella, I would hope that he would have something in there to teach you how to maintain what results you've seen, because that's the biggest thing I'll see. And honestly, a lot of people probably don't even read the 75 Hard book. They just probably download the app and they do 75 days of 2-a-day workouts. And
I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't even know there was a book.
There's a book, and I think he probably does touch on, hey, you need to have a plan on the 76th day, because 90% of the people that I see that do 75 Hard end up blooming back up to where they started because they don't have a plan for 75 days and beyond.
Yeah.
It's like,
with bodybuilding, it's like, we did it for a goal and we did it for a short-term thing. And then after that, it was like immediately going back into the health side of it and all of that.
You didn't just like put your foot off the gas totally and go back to like just sit on the couch. And,
I was afraid that was what was going to happen to myself.
That's kind of like what 75 Hard is for people. Can you imagine doing a contest prep, getting super lean, and then the next day after the show, just not even working out again, and like not even dieting, and just going back to your same old habits, like or just like before you ever even started working out, like.
And how do we think that that's going to be something that would work for us? It's confusing to me, but I think we just think in terms of short-term goals. So often we don't think about like how this is going to affect us long-term. A year, 2 years, 3 years from now. We need to be thinking about our long-term health and
psychologically, like I told you in the very beginning, I could see where they think it's the path of least resistance. Like for me, if you told me, all right, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm overweight, I need to do something. I see this 75 Hard diet, so all I got to do is work out twice a day. It says stick to any diet, whatever that is, carnivore. I'm probably going to jump on carnivore because that's easy. I can just eat all the meat I want. That sounds pretty doable. But then if you told me, all right, I need you to start looking at nutrition labels, I need you to start calculating calories, weighing some foods, building awareness around the food you eat, I'm like, bump that. Like, that sounds like work.
It sounds overwhelming.
I would rather just stick to this simple, like in a box package of a trendy diet.
Yeah.
That sounds easier. I can stick to just eliminating carbs. That's doable.
But it's not easier until you go to have dinner with your parents and they have cornbread and pinto beans and all these things. You can't eat the cornbread. Like, it's not easier.
No, it's not easier. Like in the beginning it is, but like I tell people over and over again, like, stop diet hopping and learn how to track food.
Learn something new.
Like,
that skills could last forever. Yeah. Those skills you build now, learning, last you forever.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with getting comfortable with going to the gym and
train yourself. Yeah, like you dedicate. Like, look, starting tomorrow, I'm going to learn how to use MyFitnessPal. I don't care how many times I've messed up. I'm going to learn it. I'm going to master it. I'm going to be a pro food logger by this date. You know, and like,
you should give awards for that.
Right,
pro food blogger.
And and I'm here to tell you, it don't have to be perfect. Like, you just know at the very beginning you're gonna miscalculate stuff. You're gonna mess up, but dude, that's what it's about. That's with anything.
That's how you learn.
Know? That's how you learn.
I still mess up with MyFitnessPal.
Yeah,
I still mess up with my meal prep. But it's the same thing with the comfortability and getting used to it and going to the gym. You don't get used to going to the gym unless you go. You don't get used to tracking your food unless you track it. You don't get used to what portion sizes look like until you start doing it. You know what I mean? Start weighing your food.
Yeah. How many times have you went to MyFitnessPal, and which I don't happen to me now because I finally found one that made sense. But for the longest time, and even one of my clients, they were logging some damn boneless chicken breast that had like 20 grams of fat.
Oh gosh!
So
that probably when they stopped it, when they realized that, they were probably so excited.
I know they because MyFitnessPal and most food logging apps, there's some crazy stuff in there. Food log, because there's some crazy stuff in there. So I can see where for the beginner that can be overwhelming. You're like, I could see that. Can you imagine finally taking the time to food log, and then you finally get in there and be like, well, damn, this stuff's not even right.
That would,
so I can see where that would
make me both happy and sad. I'll be playing in MyFitnessPal and I'll do something and it'll slide it to the next day and it makes me so angry.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I'm just trying to delete this off of here. So like, I still get frustrated with it, but again, you're not going to get better at anything until you practice it.
And so, I'm getting very close to actually like filming it and doing it, but I promise you guys, y'all can hold me accountable. By, let's just call it August the 1st of this year, I will have a legit, like, in-depth, like, user-friendly how to track macros course that I want people to be able to watch.
Yeah.
Like, it's got a screen recording and all that stuff, like, because I understand the pain. I see that being the main sticking point for a lot of people.
I would hate to have to start over.
Yeah. So I want to show you how I want to show you how easy it is, and there's a lot of shortcuts inside MyFitnessPal as far as saving stuff as favorites and your recent history. And like once you just do it for like the first week and you build up all your commonly reoccurring foods, at that point it's just plug and play.
Yeah.
For the most
really
part.
Is.
I very rarely have to like go search for something new at this point. I have so much history and so many things saved as my favorites.
Yes, and the brands. And the cool thing about that too, I pay for mine, but you can scan barcodes and stuff like that. So it makes it easy because again, you could be tracking something and then it be wrong, and you're thinking it's right. But I make sure to track as close to what I have as I can. But once you do it over and over, it's there for you. So like it gets easier.
So just know that with the food tracking apps, I can tell you that when you're searching for meats, make sure you specify cooked or raw. That helps. Big difference. And then just know that once you start searching for stuff and you're putting together meals, you can save that meal as your favorite or customize it. So like if you think you're going to have this overnight oats bowl every morning for breakfast, you can just save that in your MyFitnessPal. That way you can just hit a little button tomorrow morning and it's there.
Yeah, or you can copy it from the day before, or it's there are a lot of ways to do things in MyFitnessPal, and it does get easier as you do it. Yep.
So don't let that be the reason you don't do it.
It's just because you don't know what you're doing. Like, you gotta learn. So how are you gonna learn if you don't try?
Yep. And I always use this analogy about Google Maps. I think most everybody has great intentions. Like people have great intentions about starting carnivore. They have great intentions about starting keto or doing 75 hard. It would be no different if Katie, I told you if you made it to a specific address in California, if you could make it to my aunt's house in California, I would give you $100,000. But you can't use any maps. You can't use Google Maps. You can't use any kind of like device to get to her address. You just gotta like wing it and get out there and just ask around, maybe ask at a gas station, do you know where Miss Ozment's whatever house is? Well, you might actually go for it. You might have good intentions, right? You might would know to head west, right?
Yeah,
to get to
or just
California.
really, really need that $100,000. But yeah,
But same thing, like you would have good intentions. You know what general direction to point the gun or go. You know.
Yeah, I know north, south, east, and west. Yeah.
So you would head out there, and more than likely, you would, after spending a couple of days at gas stations and people and asking around, you probably would get frustrated and come back home.
Yeah.
Same thing with like people that diet. They have great intentions. They'll freestyle and think they make healthier choices, but until they build that awareness with tracking like food calories, same thing with maps, how much more efficient would that have been if you use something like Google Maps
Exactly.
to see that visual on?
Exactly.
It's just it keeps like bumper guards.
Yes.
You know, it's a direction for you to go and be more accurate on your destination.
Exactly. That's what the fad diets is crazy too. It's like it makes it seem like there's an end.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, there's not an end. It's a lifestyle change. This is you building habits that can last you forever. Like there's no end. My diet doesn't have an end. You know what I mean? Keto, it seems, or 75 hard. Like there's a hard end to those 75 days.
Yeah.
Like what's next?
I know.
We want something that you can do forever.
Yeah. Next on the list is seems like you hear about it every now and then is like cleanses.
Oh, this one's one that gets me.
Yeah.
Cleanses get me. I mean, and all of them too, you know, nutrient deficiency. You're slowing your metabolism by, you know, the cleanses and, well, really all of them, they are restrictive, low calorie, like really, really too low sometimes. And even the cleanses, like I don't understand adding lemon to my water just because it's supposed to cleanse me out. Like I don't like lemon like that. A lot of them are so gross. Like they taste bad. Like, why would you want to do that? Yeah.
It seems like, you know, definitely carnivore and fasting and keto is definitely, but I'll still have people come through the shop or call us and say, hey, do you sell any kind of detox kits or cleanse kits or juice cleanse? And you ask them and they're like, yeah, I want to start losing weight and I want to kick things off with a cleanse or whatever, you know, a 7-day cleanse. And
I just ask them, how are is something wrong with your liver and kidneys?
Right.
Why would you want to do that? If your liver and kidneys are in good functioning shape,
that's what they're for.
That's what they are there for.
Yeah.
I don't understand spending all that money on all of those things. Like just all of these products. I mean, even the ones you make on your own or the ones you buy that are pre-made or whatever, like it's wild to me.
Yeah, it's usually the same thing. Like you'll find a company that promotes a cleanse. They're just marketing it as the next greatest thing. They're gonna take your money. Will you lose a few pounds in a week? Maybe, possibly, especially if you're only allowed to drink juices or it's got some really like stuff in there that's gonna like make you have diarrhea or lose a bunch of water weight or. You know, the scale probably is going to go down. Yeah, based off that. But
I specifically remember the military diet and trying that out, and I lost a little bit, but it wasn't worth it. Like what I went through to do that, you know, it's just it doesn't take that extreme of a measure, to accomplish what you're wanting to accomplish, and most of the time you're just losing water weight with the cleanses. Yeah, it's just there's no reason.
And like you said, it's, you know, it could be like messing your stuff up. Like if you're, you know, dumping all your nutrients out or you're just messing up your gut bacteria by doing something, like it could mess you up for a few days or a few weeks. Yeah.
It can definitely cause some issues for sure. I never really looked into a lot of the cleanses or anything. I don't understand. It just doesn't make sense to me. How that would be a good choice for long term. Yeah, was sustained, like to stay at your goal. Yeah, I mean those are still calories.
And like you said, if you got a healthy liver and kidney, that's what they do. That's your body's own like filter. Like, you know, it's detox.
Cleanse. It's such a broad term. You know, it's just strange.
But the market's, it's $1 million industry. If you look on the internet right now for cleanses, they're everywhere.
And that's why.
I mean, because they seem so... Weight loss cleanse, you know, fat loss cleanse. I mean, there's so many catchy names out there, probably on the Walmart shelf.
Looking for easy fixes.
Belly blaster cleanse.
Belly fat.
Belly fat detox.
Melt
Can you imagine?
Bat wings.
Yeah. Like they market it like crazy.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So that's, you know, that's kind of the trendy ones that I see a lot. You know, the carnivore, the low carb, keto, the fasting techniques. And like I said, now the cleanses, I don't think anybody should do those. But like with the fasting, yeah, if you have a really long day, I could see where pushing out manipulating your eating window could work in your favor as far as controlling your calories. So yeah, maybe there. If you're going to do any kind of fasting, do it for that reason.
Yeah, don't do intermittent fasting because
Yeah.
you're trying to lose weight.
Right.
Like, do it because of other reasons, whether
Right.
it's religious, spiritual,
Yeah.
because of your schedule,
Yeah.
like whatever the case may be. But that's not what we want to do
Yep.
for the weight loss aspect.
Right. And then the carnivore and stuff like that, keto, the only time, like we said, we would recommend that is if you think that'd be a good time to do like a kind of process of elimination. You know, like if you've just been eating everything under the sun and you've got some issues going on, like that might be a good time to just start with ground zero. Like let's just only eat meat and do away with dairy and gluten for a while, and then maybe slowly work in only like dairy and see if your condition flares up again.
Yeah.
That'd be a good way to kind of play around with different stuff that
Yeah.
might be having you might have some food sensitivities.
Yeah, if you suspect that
Yeah.
there's something going on with like an allergy or your gut microbiome or something, definitely that could be a good place to start for the process of elimination. But again, if you're doing it for weight loss,
We
we
should have actually put gluten free on here because that seems to be a trend.
gluten free. I think about that commercial.
That's a trend. Also, a lot of people will go on a gluten free kick to just lose weight, even though they don't have any kind of like
Celiac. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
There's no reason to go gluten free unless you have an allergy. But the cool thing about that for me is I do have to go gluten free. Like it's proven. I mean, I think you sitting here today, you can see a difference in my skin texture, and I can feel a difference in my gut health. Like I feel better not eating gluten. The good thing for me is like a lot of people think that means a calorie deficit. So there's a lot of stuff out there that I could snack on and
gluten free, gluten this, gluten free.
I'm still having my. And if it were up to me, I would eat wheat. I would have that in my diet because it has more protein. But I still managed to get 225 grams of carbs a day.
But I was thinking the other day, like if I had to go gluten free, like I could still do organic oats.
Yeah, I eat oats every day.
I could do rice.
I still eat rice. I eat potatoes all the time.
So the only thing you're really missing out on is like
pasta,
just pasta and bread. Because even like sourdough bread has gluten.
I didn't even eat I ate the cereal shredded wheat.
Yeah.
That was sad. But aside from that, I've really not struggled to stay. The problem is like maltodextrin and all of the malted stuff. And like it's in a lot of foods that I didn't expect it to be.
Yeah.
But mostly processed foods.
Right.
I have a reason to be that way. And I did, I did cut gluten out just to see what would happen. But it took a few weeks for me to see the results in it. Now, if I have it at all, it really messes with me. But I have a reason to do it. I'm not doing it for weight loss.
Right.
And I realized I had actually it was process of elimination. It was when I got with Doug.
Yeah.
And I stopped eating gluten because of bodybuilding. That just happened that way. It was what he gave me on my meal plans and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, why? My skin looks really good.
He does like 99% real food. Oh yeah, plans. Like there might be like one isolate protein shake after workout, but everything else is like real food.
My mind was blown when that man told me to eat ground beef and rice for breakfast. I could not go. I couldn't get my brain around that. But that was what made me realize that that might be what's causing these issues for me. But it wasn't for weight loss.
No. Yeah.
Because again, calories. That's it's calories. But there are other measures you can take to like increasing your activity levels and your hydration and all that. You can make the whole tracking the calories and stuff work better for you if you add on those things, strength training and resting better and staying consistent with that deficit. Like they all go together. Yeah.
So like a lot of times, if you're just, before you start making drastic changes, like what I tell people to do is like try to get an idea of how many calories you're eating per day before you make changes. So like just for kicks and giggles, see how many calories are in your breakfast that you're normally getting from like whether it's Chick-fil-A or McDonald's. Is it 600 calories? Is it 1,000? Like try to just log for a few days before you make any changes.
Yeah, just get
a baseline of where you're at. Like let's just say that you log your Bojangles breakfast and you log you try to get an idea of how many calories are in your Mexican food you're eating every day with your coworkers, and you just say you end up with like 1,200 calories lunch.
Log a pint of Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
Log you a pint of Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah. And then for dinner, let's just say, either way, let's just say that over the course of a few days, you find that you're averaging around 3,500 to 4,000 calories. Well, to put this to show you how easy it is, you could literally you just need to create like a 500 or 600 calorie deficit, to pull 1 pound of body fat per week. You could literally, like, especially if you're drinking sugary drinks. So like if you just swapped out your sugary drinks with like a diet soda and didn't change any of your food habits, if all you did was just focus on the liquid calories, you would probably start dropping a pound or 2 a week.
And that sounds a lot easier to me than
keto
trying to eliminate a whole food
food group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Had a guy one time, he was doing something very similar. He was going through Chick-fil-A every morning, getting his like number one combo, but he was getting like a full on like large Coke. A real Coke or a sweet tea. Same thing for lunch. He would go to restaurants, drink sweet tea. I literally told him, all I want you to do, man, for the first 30 days is just swap your drinks for like a diet soda or unsweet tea. And he's like, you serious? He's like, you don't want me to do anything else? Like, he said, you want me to keep eating my hamburgers and fast food, but just swap the beverages? I said, yes. I said, and we're going to go for like some little short walks. He did that. He dropped like 26 pounds the first month.
Yeah, because people think it's all or nothing. Like,
crazy,
you have to be absolutely perfect. Like, no, you just need to make these small little changes. Like, I can guarantee you probably don't know how many calories you're drinking in Cokes in a day, or how many calories is in that Starbucks drink that you're eating.
Yeah.
Look up how many calories are in Chick-fil-A sauce. I mean,
I know,
they add up so quickly, and just simply removing those small little things and replacing them with something even, can make a huge difference. It's just that it takes an extended amount of time sticking to that for you to see the results.
Yes.
But they last forever.
Right. So for that guy to prove to himself that he could lose 26 pounds in a month just and still eating his fast food, just cleaning up his drinks, that motivated him.
Yes.
To keep going even further. He's like, oh wow, if I was able to see this result just by making the drink choice, let's do a little bit more. Let's start. And I think the next month all I did was, let's just swap out your breakfast. Instead of getting the biscuit and the bow rounds, let's do this, but I still want you to keep your main lunch and dinner. So we did that, and he lost another 15 pounds. We just did it in like baby steps.
Small little baby steps. I think about myself, really. I mean, I did change my nutritional habits slightly, but really I dropped like 25 pounds when I eliminated alcohol alone. Yeah.
Crazy.
So it's those small little things that add up over time, and then at the same time you're establishing that routine and that lifestyle, those changes for yourself. So like those things are what add up over time. Yeah.
So as far as like, sustainable like things that probably get you to where you want to be as far as like body composition changes, that's going to be, I think creating awareness around the calories you're consuming currently and where you need to be like future wise, like, a healthier bracket to work in. Knowing that it don't take huge changes. Sometimes it is just changing out your sauces. Like you just said, between liquid calories that you drink and then the sauces that you use, my gosh, that could be 1,000 calories a day just right there between the dips and the condiments and the sugary Cokes or mountain, monster drinks.
And look at that. You still get to keep your carbs.
Yeah. You still get to eat the food, but just look, maybe that's where you should start.
Yeah. Small little things. Just start with small things.
Yeah. And then obviously, just what you're doing throughout the day, like walking more, getting plugged into some kind of consistent strength training, exercise stuff. Like you combine that over the course of like ever, but at least commit the first year to it, to some good, consistent building awareness around calories, strength training, getting in more walks through the day. Dude, you're going to see so much success off that without doing some kind of juice cleanse, without doing some kind of fasting or keto.
Yeah. And it could be something as simple as like my driveway, for example, is super, super long. So I don't check the mail in my car. I park the car and I walk to the end of the driveway to get my mail and then I walk back.
Yeah.
So it's little things like scheduling a little 5-minute walk twice a day, 10-minute walk twice a day, those type of things, getting more steps, little activity increases like that. They're easy to work into your day.
For sure. If you're a person that's like got a very sedentary job and you're at a desk all day, I got one guy that's like works at a car dealership and he's got an alarm that goes off on his phone. Like every hour he'll just, his phone will go off and it says, go take a lap. and he'll do one lap around the whole car dealership.
I used to do that when I worked at Norson.
Yeah.
I would still get like upwards of 13,000 steps at Norson, and I worked a desk job. So like it is possible.
It is possible.
Do you want that for yourself is the true question. Do you want the changes bad enough to invest in learning and invest in scheduling those walks and building that routine? So that's really what it all boils down to, that and the calories in and out.
Yes.
Not the carbs, not the fat.
Nope. Just keep remembering that 5-gallon bucket, and the buckets it's all about ways that you can sustainably control calories, and like I said, I'm not going to knock anybody for doing 75 hard or trying keto, but just know you better have a plan for afterwards. You better start learning about nutrition while you're doing one of these. Yeah,
and think more on the long-term side of things. I want to lose 10 pounds in X amount of days, but what do you want to do after that?
Right.
So let's think about the future more so.
Yeah, if what you're doing now, you don't see yourself being able to do, doing a year from now, it's probably not the most sustainable.
No. Nope. I know that what I'm doing right now, I can do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I can continue to build those good habits even a decade and a half later.
Yep. Same here.
I'm still working on the habits myself. It's just something that's ever evolving. You just got to invest yourself into it.
For sure.
And invest into you.
Yes.
You deserve it.
Yep. And then it really does just come down to making it happen and change, because nothing's going to change until something changes. Like we were talking about earlier, you can sit there all day long and say, gosh, I'm so busy at work. There's no way I can get up and go for just a 5-minute walk. Well, gosh, that's just a sad outlook.
The thing that kills me too is you can spend hours scrolling through social media, but you can't sit there and try to learn MyFitnessPal on your phone. Like, you're still using your phone. Like, why can't you just try it out?
Yeah, look at your screen time. That tells a different story.
And then put that screen time into learning MyFitnessPal or whatever tracking mechanism.
Yeah, and ask yourself, how far to the bottom of the barrel do I have to get before I really make a difference? Make change.
Because guess what? The days are going to come either way. Either way.
Yeah, quit playing the victim mode, saying you don't have time for this and that, and just do it. You deserve to feel better, and don't wait till you're bottom of the barrel. Don't wait till you get that bad call from the doctor. Just work with a guy. Met with a guy this morning. He's 47 years old and got the bad doctor's visit. Now he's wanting to do something better. But
we've said it
could be too late. He's already got some permanent damage, but he's got a 14-year-old, 12-year-old, and he's like, crap. I'm already kind of half dead, and I need to be around for a while for my family.
Proactive is always going to be better than reactive when it comes to this. I agree with that. We've said that before, and we'll say it again. We want to be proactive about our health, not reactive.
Yep.
You can have much more control of it if you're proactive about it.
Yes. Well, cool. I think we're going to wrap up another show.
This has been great. This was a good one.
It was a good one.
I love talking about food and talking about carbs and stuff. It's very important. So I love this one. This was a good one today.
I'm going to head home here in a little bit and slice me up a whole potato and make some oven fries.
That's what I'm going to do. Well, I got to make a pit stop, but as soon as I get home, I'm going to slice me up some fries too. I'm excited. I got some chicken ready to go.
Probably, like I told you before, probably six nights a week, maybe 7 most nights. I'm having a big plate of oven fries.
I eat fries every day, so I'm excited.
Yes.
We in the same boat. Let's go eat our taters.
Let's go get some fries. We'll catch you next time. See ya.